Alright guys, so welcome back to another Patreon request, and this one comes from Christopher Rosa, who asked me to do a Wonder Woman crossover where she's pit against Dario Agger, one of Thor's villains. As always, if you guys would like to have a Patreon request done, just hit the link in the description box below. Head on over to my Patreon, hit the third tier, that'll allow you access to do so. But other than that, let's get started with the video. So this is going to take place in like a Marvel DC crossover Earth. So, just to be clear. Anyway, so, in this story, we start in a late night at Themyscira, and they are, the Amazonian guards are keeping, well, guard. I can't word, apparently. So they're standing guard, and they start they start like there's something wrong. Like there's this feeling in the air that something feels wrong. So the captain of the guards, Nubia, she immediately is like, "Hey, I got this bad feeling. It's quiet. It is way too quiet. Let's just cover the grounds. Let's just cover the village grounds and see what happens." Sure enough, the Nubia and her team discover that there are men on the island, heavily armed men, and a fight ensues. A few of the Amazons are killed, but the men are slaughtered. They are taken out, despite 2 or 3 of the Amazonians killed in the scuffle. And Nubia brings the bodies of these men to Hippolyta, and she pronounces that, yeah, the Roxxon Corporation has arrived on Themyscira. So thanks to some help through some wood sprites and water sprites, she sends out a message to Diana, who's in America, and she goes, "Hey, Diana, Themyscira fell under attack by a group called the Roxxon Corporation." And Diana's like, I've heard of those guys. Like, they usually bother Thor, but I can't get I'm not going to be able to get a hold of him because, you know, he's probably off in Asgard, and I have no way to contact him. But I don't need him. I don't need Thor for this matter. This is an Amazonian manner, and it will be handled by an Amazonian. So Diana goes directly to the Roxxon HQ. She walks in and is like, I'm here to see your CEO, Dario Agger. And the woman at the desk goes, "Oh, hi. We were not expecting Wonder Woman." And she goes, "Really? Because I feel like this was kind of expected." And that's when she hears a voice go, "Oh, let her in, let her up top. She's a consider Diana, Princess of the Amazons, a VIP." And it's Agger in his human form. Remember, Agger isn't human. He's a minotaur. So Agger escorts Diana up to his boardroom, and he's like, "Can I get you a drink? I gotta say, it's an honor. I've taken on like Thor and Hulk and all them, but I'm talking to a legend. Wonder Woman, up there with one of the greatest heroes up there with, like, bats and soups and all them. But I gotta say, I'm a fan." And she goes, "So much of a fan that you attacked my home and killed several of my sisters?" And he goes, "Oh, see, I knew you came here for a reason. So, here's the deal. Themyscira," and she goes, Diana basically says, "You committed what is essentially an act of war in my home world, in my home country." And and Dario's like, "Yeah, here's the thing, though. Themyscira isn't really recognized by the United Nations, so it's kind of free real estate. So I kind of figured, I'd scope the place out and maybe, see what you guys have locked there, and maybe get some oil or whatever the fuck I want." And she goes, "Even Lex Luthor isn't this stupid to pick a fight with me." And he goes, "Oh, look, that bald bitch is just a pussy. I think you're all kind of hype, personally, Princess. I think you're really cool, but I do think at the same time, you're all hype." And that's when Diana goes, "I know what you are. I'm well aware that you're not human." And he goes, "Good. So you know what's about to happen, right?" And she goes, "I thought I'd start." And that's immediately where, like, she just cracks Dario across the jaw and just sends him through several walls. And Agger just gets back up and he goes, "All right, gotta admit, I've been hit by Thor and Hulk, but I think you hit better. You hit harder than them." So The only problem is, this is an Armani suit, and I'm about to ruin it. So Agger turns into his Minotaur form, and the two immediately go at it with each other. And Wonder Woman is just outclassing Agger. But the thing is, Agger's just kind of mocking her, and he's like, I was kind of, you guys should welcome Roxxon into your home and all that. It'd give you work and money and all that. And she goes, man's money is poison. And he goes, I know, it's so delicious. So as they're fighting, the fight continues throughout the Roxxon Corporation building, and that's when more guards show up to protect Agger. And she's just like, you're fighting. You guys are fighting for a horrible human being. He goes, yeah, but I pay them really well. I even give them dental. So Diana is now fighting Agger and his guards until she's eventually driven out. And Agger's just like, I was for a solid first villain fight. I gotta be honest, it's pretty solid. So let's ruin the bitch. And that's when Agger, thanks to all of the all the media corporations he's bought and all the social media he has, he basically just floods the internet and social media with all of these like fake rumors and disinformation about Diana, talking about like Themyscirans in general, Amazons in general, or like he even like pays off a bunch of like really right-leaning podcasters to talk about like Diana more, because it's totally not like that happens in real life. Basically just talk about like she's toxic to the feminist ideal of how men should see women and all that. And yeah, Diana's just like, this is a problem I can't punch. And he's like, even Lex didn't stoop to this low sometime. Lex does some really horrendous things, but even he doesn't stoop this low. So she's like, I could go back there and punch Agger again, but what would that really ensue? Like, he's just beating me on that. He's just going to prove his point. So Diana's kind of left in a poor situation where she's now like caught between all this disinformation and all of the. If she tries to move against Agger, he's just going to use the social media against her. At the same time, like how he used it against Hulk and Thor. But eventually, Wonder Woman has this moment of, wait a minute. I'm not like, I don't care about that. Let man's world think of me how they will. Yeah, I'm Wonder Woman. Who fucking cares? So, and that's when Agger realizes it's not like where he's, he can just badmouth a hero or use the legal system to fight them. That's when he suddenly realizes, oh fuck, Wonder Woman doesn't play like that. And sure enough, Wonder Woman comes back again with the lasso of truth and hooks it around Agger's throat. And is just like, confess all of your sins. And he just starts listing them off. While she gets a little... And the reason why she does this is because she's gotten a little help from Etta Candy, who is sitting there recording all of Agger's, like, embezzlements, all of his schemes and all of that, and how he basically hired a bunch of what is essentially, podcasters and social media to serve him. Anyway... So now, even though it like Agger makes a valid point of basically saying, "Hey, when I fought in the War of the Realms and sided with Malekith, I still got to keep my company." And she goes, "Yeah, but I'm sure your stocks are going to be taken out. If it's one thing I've learned about you're no different from the human men. So you businessmen and you CEOs care more about money than anything else, and your pride. So, at the end of the day." You may be a Minotaur, and I've killed my share of Minotaurs, but I think beheading you this way is much better. So Agger is forced to call off any kind of future attacks on Themyscira, and Diana leaves with a victory behind her. But of course, Agger's just like, I'm going to ruin that bitch one day. She has not seen the last of me. Anyway. So that's how the story ends when it's all said and done. I'd like to thank Christopher Rosa for this Patreon request. And you guys tell me in the comments below, what did you guys think of this? Comment below, let me know. Other than that, hope you all enjoyed this. I'm Mr. Multiverse. I'll see you next time. in the multiverse.